There we go. Call to order the Lincoln Park City Council meeting of April 5th, 2021. If everyone would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance flag, which will be immediately followed by the invocation by Reverend John Peck of Bethel Assembly of God. Hold on. All right, Reverend Peck, are you with us? All right, I don't see him now. We'll jump to a different one if that is the case. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, do we have Reverend Peck? I don't see that. I have one that was prepared for me by Reverend Shipling of Blessed Hope. God, you are the builder of all things. Please guide us in this meeting. Help us to come up with effective strategies that can enable us to move forward as a city in a meaningful way. Help us to generate good plans that are practical, sustainable, and easily implemented. Guide us towards the best way to take action to accomplish our goals. Help us to tackle all the topics we need to discuss, come up with excellent solutions, and leave this meeting inspired. Amen. Okay, everyone could have a seat when Reverend Peck comes on. If he does, we will have the benefit of a second invocation, which never hurts anybody. If we could have roll call, please.
Councilpersons Breeding, Dupre, Higgins, Ross, here, Salcido, here, Tobin, here, and Mayor Cox.
Here. Okay, so in first part of comments, or before the mayor's comments, I have a resolution. Whereas Donna Breeding began her service with the City of Lincoln Park in May of 1972, working as a meter maid in the police department, and transferred to the city clerk's office in June of 1981. Ms. Breeding was appointed deputy city clerk in July 1982, where she served until being appointed to fill the vacancy of retiring city clerk Irene Bartell in July 1993. Ms. Breeding was first elected city clerk in November 1993 and served as the clerk until 2018. She was then elected to the City Council in November of 2018 and has continued to serve the citizens of Lincoln Park as a valued member of our council. And whereas Donna Breeding has served this community with pride, integrity, and a dedicated community spirit for 49 years and has earned the admiration and respect of her friends and colleagues, and whereas Donna Breeding has submitted a letter of resignation effective March 29, 2021, now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Thomas E. Carnes, along with the City Council, wish to extend our gratitude to Ms. Breeding for her 49 years of dedicated service to the community and hereby accept her resignation and declare her office vacant. And I'll move on this. Just get support of the council. Yes, I think that would work out well. All right. Carrie, call the roll.
Mayor Cox?
Yes.
Councilpersons Dupre, Higgins, Ross, yes, Salcido, yes, and Tobin. Yes.
All right. Now, accompanying that will be resolved that Larry F. Kelsey, pursuant to Lincoln Park City Charter, Chapter 3, Section 7C1, be and is hereby appointed to the position of councilperson for the City of Lincoln Park, effective immediately to fill the unexpired term created by the resignation of Donna Breeding.
Can we have council again?
Sure, we'll do it the same way, if that's all right. Yep. All right, any discussion? Then go ahead and call the roll.
Mayor Carnes?
Yes.
Councilpersons Dupre?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Salcido?
Yes.
And Tobin?
Yes.
So, quite a deal. We knew that she was going in for some treatment that was coming up, and that was going to be a little bit of a battle for her. So we wish her success in dealing with her health issues, and it's 49 years. It's time for a little bit of a break, I would think. And just hope that she's able to enjoy her time. She was the conscience, or definitely the reminder of how things were and how things should be operated now. I mean, it's really a tremendous loss to the council, but and we definitely wish her the best. And Larry's been here before, so we'll be welcoming him back to that. It won't take time at all for him to get up to speed. So I think we'll be doing good. But we'd still, hopefully she'll come back and visit us, or maybe during citizens' comments or something, she'll remind us how I screwed up or something, and I should be doing something different, which is all right. All right, then we have a couple proclamations, but before we do, I want to cover two things. One is COVID, and for the last 2 to 3 weeks, Lincoln Park's case numbers have been skyrocketing like no other time since the beginning of this. And I'm talking back to March of last year. Just today, there were 30-some new cases. We've been averaging 30 new cases over the past 2 weeks. The only thing that I could say that the positive thing is through the treatments and how the hospitals are doing, that is doing much better, is that there are fewer deaths. But we are not out of this by any stretch of the imagination when it comes. I had the numbers from Beaumont Hospital of the people that were hospitalized, and we're back up almost to the same level as mid-November, where we are definitely spiking again. So we want to open things up and to go back to the way that we were going to do. I mean, we were doing this all pre-COVID, but we're not at that point yet. But what we are paying attention to is the percentage of people, residents, that have been vaccinated. We can get the information for people in the state and the county, and more particularly, we can get the numbers for the people in Lincoln Park that have been. When we get to a level where I think 80% was the recommended point for the emergency operations team. Mike Parr, who is working from Washington in emergency management, has been that was his recommendation to us, and I think that it's a solid one. We're at James. I think we're at 35% or something.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right. So we will currently still meet remotely, even though the state order has expired. Wayne County, Warren Evans has issued a state of emergency for Wayne County that will allow us to continue to meet remotely. So everyone out there, even if you have been vaccinated, it doesn't mean that you can go without a mask, because you can just as easily as pass it or carry it to someone else. All these cases are coming from someplace. We're nearing the point where we can get back to our new normal, but we're not there yet. We still have some work to do. So continue what we've been doing for the past year, and we'll get out of this. as I said, the councilperson was wishing to be in the council chambers again and get away from that. And having people in the audience it is something that we would look forward to having happen. Second thing is, you talk about 787 Southfield. That's a Downriver Veterans Organization that was looking to go in there. There was talk over the internet that the city was not helpful, or that was causing this business to shut down or not be available to go in because of $3,500 that we needed for plans for a garden. It is far more involved than that, than what they are saying. There are things that we are working with the organization, and I will be meeting with them, and building department liaison, Maureen Tobin will be there, the building department. I had John Myers, the city manager, and we're attempting to get Till Brothers owners to be there also, to go through and develop a plan for how we're going to proceed, and for them do it as cheaply as possible. The waiving of the $3,500 fee that they're calling for is something that's assessed to the city, so that would something, if it were possible to be waived, that would cost everyone in the city that amount. Not everybody has to pay $3,500, but that's where that money would come from. So we will be working in reference to that. Just wanted to get that out there. Then the first proclamation I have is, whereas autism spectrum disorder, ASD, is a developmental disability that can cause significant social, communication, and behavioral challenges. A diagnosis of ASD now includes several conditions that used to be diagnosed separately. Autistic disorder, pervasive developmental disorder, not otherwise specified, PDD-NOS, and Asperger syndrome. These conditions are now all called autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. And whereas ASD is the fastest growing developmental disorder, with more than 5 million Americans living with an ASD, and about 1 in 54 children diagnosed with ASD. ASD prevalence has increased by 6 to 15% each year from 2002 to 2010. Whereas people with ASD often have problems with social, emotional, and communication skills, they might repeat certain behaviors and might not want to change in their daily activities. Many people with ASD also have different ways of learning, paying attention, or reacting to things. Signs of ASD begin during early childhood and typically last throughout a person's life. Whereas during the month of April, we strive to promote autism awareness, inclusion, and self-determination for all, and assure that each person with ASD is provided an opportunity to achieve the highest possible quality of life. Now therefore, I, Thomas Carnes, Mayor of the City of Lincoln Park, Michigan, and the entire Lincoln Park Council do hereby proclaim the month of April to be designated as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, and urge our community in creating awareness and acceptance for this disorder. As this hits home, as my grandson has been diagnosed with autism, and it makes for a challenge as you go through life. And the police department has been doing a great deal for the autism. They've sold these patches, and then the profit would go to the Mixter Center. Get that there. All right, and they had some stickers too. Very good. So the next thing that we have is that comes next. Whereas addressing the complex health needs of people with scleroderma is important to the state of Michigan, and whereas comprehensive and coordinated health service for people with scleroderma are critically important to achieving positive patient outcomes, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize June as Scleroderma Awareness Month, and whereas through public awareness, the City of Lincoln Park seeks to focus on the needs of people living with scleroderma and continuing improvements of services to those people and their families. And whereas persons living with scleroderma in the City of Lincoln Park, their family and friends are encouraged to wear teal for the month of June to create awareness and to educate the medical community and public in support of scleroderma awareness and to participate in scleroderma awareness-related events during the month of June and the Stampede. Whereas the Scleroderma Foundation Michigan chapter, through its cooperation with the Scleroderma Foundation and other organizational partners, seek to raise awareness in our community through support, education, and research towards finding a cure for scleroderma. Now therefore, I, Thomas E. Carnes, Mayor of the City of Lincoln Park, and the entire Lincoln Park City Council do hereby proclaim June to be Michigan Scleroderma Awareness Month. So that is for June. Glad we partake in that. And lastly, whereas the City of Lincoln Park has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue to be recognized as such, and whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Whereas a healthy environment is the cornerstone of a thriving community and vigorous local economy, and state and local communities can lead the way in taking steps to protect and preserve our natural resources by encouraging the planting and maintenance of trees along with encouraging the protection of our vital natural resources. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide a habitat for wildlife, and trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and beautify our community. And trees in our cities increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Now therefore, I, Thomas C. Carnes, Mayor of the City of Lincoln Park, and the entire City Council do hereby proclaim April 24, 2020 as Arbor Day in the City of Lincoln Park, and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to promote the well-being of this and future generations. All right, I think that is enough for that. I do not see Mr. Peck here, so we'll go to the consent agenda. Resolved that the following items listed under the consent...
Your Honor, before we do that, he gets in here. That was right after appointing him, so we skipped over that.
Well, oh, yes, okay, I apologize, I jumped the gun. So we need to make Larry official, right?
Make him official.
Okay, then
Okay.
I will turn this over to our city clerk, Carrie Kerher.
All right. Mr. Kelsey, if you will raise your right hand, please. Do you hereby swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and that you will faithfully perform the duties of councilperson for the City of Lincoln Park to the best of your ability by saying, so help me God?
So help me God.
He is now officially sworn in. I have one other thing that I need to tell you. I got a phone call a little while ago from the police chief, deputy chief, and they want to pull number 5 off of the consent agenda, the training for the basic firearms.
Okay. So here we go again. I apologize for missing that. So we'll move on to consent agenda. Resolve that the following items listed on the consent agenda be approved as presented to the mayor and city council. 1, approve minutes, regular meeting held April 5, 2021. 2, proclaim Arbor Day. 3, attend training, police department, less than lethal training. 4, attend training, police department, crisis negotiation. Number 6, reappointment DDA Fox. 7, reappointment DDA Steele. 8, reappointment EDC, the BRA for Van Cleve. And 9, schedule public hearing 2021 WIFS /5/10/21. Oh, that's going to be May 10th, 21 at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Tobin,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dupre, Dupre, you're, there we go. Oh, nope. Yes. Kelsey,
Yes.
Alcino,
Yes.
and Mayor Cox.
Yes. That's what I was looking for. So we'll move to the action items. Resolved that an ordinance to amend Part 6 of the codified ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park by adding a new section, .07, to Chapter 666 entitled Aggressive Begging and Soliciting be given its third and final reading and be adopted by title only. And then the City of Lincoln Park ordains that Part 6 of the codified ordinances of Lincoln Park, Chapter 666, be amended by adding new section .07 entitled Aggressive Begging and Soliciting.
So moved.
Okay, discussion?
To the chair, number 4, talks about a paid telephone. I don't think we have any paid telephones in Park, do we? It just seems like it's out of sync with, we don't have any booths or paid telephones. I just question it. I'm not, should that be in there or does it make any difference if it's in there?
Our city attorney is shaking his head here, but apparently there are still some in Ed's world, so, yeah,
That's fine with me. Flip phones.
okay. Any other discussion? And clerk call the roll?
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
and Mayor Cox.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from John Myers, our City of Lincoln Park building official. And the purpose of this is to request to amend the provisions relating to all districts, ordinance chapter 1494. The purpose and intent of this amendment is to create replacement criteria for all concrete flat work, including sidewalks, service walks, patios, driveway approaches, driveways, and garage flooring. The amendment was intended to provide clarity for all flat work replacement criteria in alignment with the Department of Public Services replacement criteria adopted in 2005 for public sidewalks and in 2017 for the Public Sidewalk Replacement Program. This will support the building department's ongoing exterior inspections of rentals, resales, vacancies, and certified occupancy registrations. So, resolution resolved that an ordinance to amend Part 12, Title 6 of the codified ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park by adding a new section, .43, flat work replacement criteria, to Chapter 1294 entitled Provisions Relating to All Districts be given its first and second reading. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that Part 12 of the Codified Ordinance for the City of Lincoln Park, Title 6, Chapter 1294, entitled Provisions Related to All Districts, be and is hereby amended by adding Section .43 entitled Flat Work Replacement Criteria as follows. 1294.34 Flat Work Replacement Criteria. It shall be necessary to replace flat concrete, which may include but is not limited to public sidewalks, service walks, driveway approaches, driveways, garage slabs, steps, porch caps, and patios if any of the following conditions exist. 1, trip hazard exceeding 3/4 of 1 inch. 2, cross slopes exceeding 1 inch per foot from the inside edge toward the outside edge, in parentheses, the outside edge being the edge of the sidewalk nearest the street line, unparenthesized. 3, individual slabs that are broken into more than 3 pieces. 4, significant surface deterioration from spalling or pitting over 33% of an individual slab. 5, holes in excess of 3/4 of 1 inch in depth or width. 6, if any section of the sidewalk is tilted from the outside edge toward the inside edge, in parentheses, the outside edge being the edge of the sidewalk nearest the street line, parentheses. 7, any section or sections where water ponding is evident. 8, milling or grinding will not be permitted if at any point the trip hazard exceeds 3/4 of 1 inch. 9, no surface patchwork will be permitted.
Move. Support.
All right, discussion?
Yes, through the chair,
Yes, sir.
if you don't mind, I know this says flat concrete for all concrete, right? This is not just for rentals, resales, vacancies, and certificate of occupancy registrations, right? Because I know we have many city trees lifting up sidewalks. So just be mindful that, let's look at all the sidewalks, not just on the rentals.
I think it's incorporating the city sidewalk program, and those were the guidelines that were part of that program. Is Mr. Myers, John, you can address that?
Yes, the subject really was the original guidelines were set for the DPS only for sidewalks or public sidewalks as complied with the sidewalk program. We discovered and we realized that if there's a violation and a refusal to repair walkable surfaces in a court case, we'd lose them because we had no ordinance that was given to any product or flat work beyond the public sidewalk. So in this case, we now can address any other flat work that is a hazard. Mr. Councilman, your concern is that we're probably not walking through the street looking for public sidewalks, but as a complaint comes to a resident or a resale to a property, that's when we would address that public sidewalk. Or again, if someone calls and complains, we'll address that as a complaint. But right now, we didn't have any ordinance that gave us control to correct any patios, driveways, surface walks, or porch tops with our ordinance in place as it is.
Thank you very much, John.
You're welcome.
Is there?
Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Myers, could you please tell me why we would never allow any surface patchwork to be permitted?
Yes, because most people, when they patchwork, they'll use a mixture of a cement that once put on the property, not glued properly or not glued at all, when the change of temperature moves or possibly the vehicle or surface is walked on, the thickness of that patch may be only an inch to a very skimmed out flat work, and it breaks within a year and it becomes a repeated action of service.
Okay, so we're just looking for a long-term solution.
Correct, in every regard.
Thank you.
Anything further?
EF, grinding or grinding. Milling and grinding comes at the point of 3/4 of an inch or less is permitted. After that, on a 3-inch piece of concrete, if it's over an inch and a half, now that sidewalk, that concrete, or that driveway now is compromised by the fact that it may only be 2 inches thick or less. And therefore, as it goes through another season of change of weather temperatures, it becomes a danger to crack, to break, or to come loose. So to continue to grind away the concrete, we have not as much to work with once it's gone.
Excuse me. And if we see something that's over 3/4 of an inch issue, then the resident is responsible to pay, or is that?
On a public sidewalk, the resident is still responsible to take care of it. Obviously, if the city is in a sidewalk redevelopment program in that particular street and neighborhood, and they are informed by the city's DPS that we are canvassing that section, or share a contract program with them. But if it's not in that district for that season, then the person owning of that property, even with a tree being heaved, is responsible to bring that concrete back to walkable, safe surfaces.
And can I ask one more question? If it involves a city tree, what answer do we give them then?
Well, that's when we go back to the tree program and evaluate who's responsible for taking that down, who's responsible for removing the roots that are bringing the upheaval. And once that's resolved between the city's DPS structure and that owner, then the sidewalk gets replaced by the responsibility of the owner's property.
Thank you.
All right, anything further? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Higgins,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross, yes, Alcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. So next we have resolved that an ordinance to amend Part 8, Title 2 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Lincoln Park by adding a new chapter, 826, entitled Food Trucks, be given its first and second reading by title only. The City of Lincoln Park ordains that Part 8 of the Codified Ordinances for the City of Lincoln Park, Title 2, be and is hereby amended by a new chapter, 826. I'll move on this.
Support.
All right, discussion?
I just have one question. I'm not sure if I read it. If they need a fire suppression inspection, is our fire department going to be able to provide that for them, or are they going to have to go to, say, the city of Detroit to get that?
James, I'll defer that to you. Starting.
You're muted.
I was saying the question broke up. Could you repeat it, please, Councilman?
If the trucks need inspection of the fire suppression systems, are they going to have to be able to get it from our fire department, or are they going to have to go down to Detroit or to a company?
I believe it would be our fire department who would have to do it.
We're enforcing our ordinances, we can't delegate.
Yeah, so our inspectors are more than capable of doing that. In the past, we have sent them to Detroit for a general inspection. It can get pretty costly for these food trucks to apply for permits in each city that they go to. So we've been honoring. Went through some training with Detroit, but from this point forward, we could do them ourselves. We were just kind of waiting for us to have an ordinance to do it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Very good. Anyone else?
Your Honor,
Yes. Go ahead.
yes, I just want to point out in the past, both the EDC and the DDA have supported food trucks, and just want to get that said.
Yes, and they've been the driving force behind this.
Has there been any discussion about a fee? I'm sorry, excuse me, through the chair. Has there been a discussion about what the fee to apply for an application is going to be?
I think it's going to be in line with, I think the city clerk has definite ideas towards that. Do you have, I don't know if that was established yet.
We didn't establish it. I have a resolution ready to go on agenda next week when they do the third and final reading of this regarding the fees. What we were looking at was keeping it in line with the ice cream peddlers. It's a very similar type of permit, so we were looking at keeping it in line with that. Currently, that's $250 for an annual permit.
Thank you.
Plus, they do have to pay, they do have to pay for a 25, currently it's $25 for the inspection, but the police chief did ask if we could bump that up to $35. So that's part of what's next week's, or next meeting's resolution regarding amending the fee schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. And
Through the chair, Your Honor,
yes, go ahead, sir, Council President.
the three-part question, so I'm not sure who can answer this, but is this just for downtown only?
No,
Is
it's
this
city.
considered, if I have a
citywide.
trailer, do I park my trailer on the corner of Dixon Stewart and it can sit there for the remainder of the year? And my last question is there a number of food trucks that were allowed in the city at one time? I don't know who's got those answers, but
Well, let me have your the first question again. I think I lost part of that.
is this for downtown only?
No, it's not. It's, it applies to
Well,
citywide.
Okay, and then there's no limit on how many trucks can be in a city at one time?
Well, there are, in the ordinance, it does specify where they can be and how, I don't think that it says that you can be there overnight or anything similar to that. James, if you have that on your, post stickers, license application,
The last question is, does a trailer constitute a truck? Sometimes you see a trailer. So this is a food truck, but I have a trailer that I want to put out. So is a food trailer included?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
if it was attached to a vehicle, I would think. But not just left.
All right.
That would be my opinion, but we'll have the city attorney look into that.
I say it's contemplated being the same thing, Your Honor.
He says he contemplates that being the same thing.
My last and final question. Once again, I have a food truck on the corner of Dixon, 4th Street, and I want to put picnic tables, and the owner of the property says, go ahead, put 6 picnic tables down there, Carlos. Is that legal?
I don't think so. We're going to have to look at that one, Your Honor, to see what the property's zoned for and if they're allowed to put picnic tables out.
That would depend on what the property is zoned for and if they're allowed to put picnic tables out there, have outdoor service.
Thank you.
Question to the chair, if I may.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
On Southfield and Ecorse, there is a food truck that's been sitting there on the property day in and day out, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Are we going to allow the same thing? I mean, the truck has a picnic table, a trash can, and it sits there you can go by there now and it's probably still sitting there, but my question is, do we have any restrictions? They have to move these trucks once in a while? I mean, somebody can turn around and set up, if you want to call it a pop-up, and set the food truck up there and do business and really only pay $250 and nothing else. And my question is there any, I'm sorry?
I'm hearing from the city attorney that would violate the zoning ordinance. Mrs. Zonak, would you go to the
Yes, I
microphone?
All right.
Thank you, Mayor, and for the benefit of City Council, the drafting of this ordinance was done primarily by the Building Department, the planner, Downtown Development Authority, looking to enhance business perspectives in the community, but that would be a prima facie violation of zoning ordinances. It's a stationary vehicle placed as a place of business contrary to the zoning codes. It would have to then comply with a fixed structure matter, and I would hasten to indicate that things that go on in the city of Lincoln Park and the Republic of Ecorse are two different things, and two different things are allowed in both communities. So you can't use that as a comparison. You can use it as an example of something to avoid, but that wouldn't be permitted, in my opinion, under the building code or the zoning ordinances.
I would like to see some time limit put into the ordinance.
And Your Honor, you might recall as the chief of police that would be a stationary parked commercial vehicle, and there are limitations on the number of hours it can be parked either on private or public property. The same as the consideration would be as if you park a commercial vehicle in your front driveway or in front of your house for weeks, or days, or beyond the normal parking period. And I would suggest, Your Honor, because there's still that look on your face of quizzicalness, that the drafters of the code, if you bring it back, if it survives the first and second reading today, that Mr. Myers and Mr. Carl, I forgot Carl's last name, the DDA, get together and make some conciliatory concessions to address these concerns of council concerning parking, concerning stationary vehicles, concerning placement on private property, concerning the placement of accessory structures such as picnic tables, unless you want to create a district, as they do in some southern states, for airstreams and commercial vehicles, if they want to do that. Thank you.
I would think that simply saying no overnight parking on the property would suffice.
Sounds good to me, Judge, Your Honor, sorry.
Your Honor, actually,
Yes.
in the email to us, or the letter to us from the chief of police did say after 48 hours, anything would need to be ticketed, so that was on there. So if we put that into the ordinance, that should be cover that, yes?
Well, I was thinking that we have the hours of operation that they're allowed to work, and then after that, the vehicle would be removed from the premises. I mean, it can't be stored there.
That's right.
So if you could, city attorney, get with the drafters and get us something along those lines, and that would prevent it from being there. We can't stop it from coming there on a regular basis, but it doesn't have to be there every night.
I make a note of that, Your Honor.
Is there further discussion? Okay, I'm not hearing then. Then clerk, call the roll.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. If I could add, if you look at F on page 3 of the ordinance, it states that the property owner shall obtain any required special event permits from the city. So if they're going to, if they apply for that special permit event, they give us the days that, the dates that they're going to be there, and they should be allowed to be overnight, so long as
There
we
would be an
approve it.
exemption under the special permit ordinance.
That would be an
For
exemption
example,
under
like
the...
Lincoln Park Days, which is really the only special event that one still considers here. Do you want me to go to the microphone, or no?
Yeah, go ahead. He has a comment in reference to that.
Special events are clearly defined, Your Honor, and members of council, in the code, and special events you might think of would be the cruising downriver when that occurred, or perhaps Lincoln Park Days or something else designated as a special event. And then you would give the exemption. You give the time requirements, the cleanup requirements would be in the actual permit. So you could make exceptions at that time as you do for other matters in the code. That would be addressed on a case-by-case basis. I think what the building department, the planner, and the DDA are looking for is something to set the basis for permitting these vehicles and then working on it from a case-by-case basis with exceptions.
Okay, so basically, if you were licensed under this, you would not need a special event permit to be on a property as long as you have the owner's permission to be on that property.
Right.
And you fit all the other guidelines. I'd still like to see no overnight parking
Yeah.
on the property.
Made a note, Your Honor, thank you.
All right. Further discussion?
Particularly since it's a permit that lasts the whole season, yeah, I think that's important too.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman. Any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Carnes?
Yes.
Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes,
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross? Yes. Salcido?
I'm sorry, with a clear conscience, I love free enterprise and everything, but I just think it's too vague at this point. I'm gonna say no.
Tobin?
Yes.
Okay. You all set, Carrie?
Yes.
All right, the next item, resolve that Catherine Surcease of 2118 Champaign is hereby appointed to the Community Improvement Commission for a term to expire May 1 of 2024.
or
Or,
All right, discussion?
if I may, Your Honor.
Yes, go ahead.
Kathy was very instrumental with my food delivery for Christmas this year for the Lincoln Park residents. She was my assistant more and kept all my records and everything for me, and she's just very involved, and she really wants to be a part of the city, and she's got a good spirit, and she's a very nice young woman.
Yeah, she's already attended a couple meetings as an observer.
Question to the chair, if I may, Your Honor.
Yes, go ahead.
We used to have, and work through as a council, to have some kind of paperwork with this, like a background. Has that been discontinued? We don't do that no more?
No, I don't think that it's officially been discontinued. I think that we just haven't done it on a couple of occasions. I think it's a good idea, James, to make sure we bring it back.
Ashley sent that to you guys a couple of weeks ago
Okay. I didn't.
before it came.
Okay.
Before it came. You guys got it under separate email.
Okay. All right, sorry, then we're all set. Thank you.
That's all right, I missed it too. Is there further discussion? All in favor? No. City Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins?
Yes.
Tobin?
yes.
Dupre?
Yes,
Higgins? I already called Ross? Yes. Salcido?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes?
Yes. Next, we have resolved that Virginia Mondon, 2059 Keppen, is hereby appointed to the Historical Commission for a term to expire May 1, 2025.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, discussion? I know that Virginia's been active in the past, and it's nice to see her get involved again. Any further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Dupre?
yes,
Ross? Yes. Salcido?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes?
Yes. Next item that we have has a cover letter from Doreen Christian, Director of the Office of Community Planning and Development. And in background, the residential rehab program for the 2016-17 budget year for CDBG was allocated funding. According to HUD guidelines, we must first spend all program income resulting from the program being utilized entitlement funds. Over the past few years, the program has received abundance of repayments on deferred loans from the sale of property. In 2019-20, we received $85,937.54 in program income, and from July 2020 to December 2020, we have already received $103,412.17. Due to these payments, I did not put the Parks and Rec request for CDBG funding in, as I would like to reprogram fund as follows. In the senior rec room, remove the wallpaper that is falling down and repaint. Senior center, replace the sound system for the senior club that is not working. Parks and Recreation, update playground equipment in a low mod area. And I'll go to the resolution here. Whereas the senior center recreation room needs the old wallpaper taken off and repainted. Whereas the sound system in the senior center has not worked properly in a number of years, and whereas the parks in the low-moderate area need to be updated. Now therefore be it resolved that $38,500 be reprogrammed from the 2016-17 CDBG activity of residential rehab into 2016-17 CDBG senior center renovation of $13,500 and parks and recreation of $25,000.
So move.
Discussion?
I'm just wondering if the sound system that's going to be replaced, if that went out to bid, or if that's just one bid, one person giving an estimate.
Doreen, if
That
you
will
could.
go out to bid. I'm sorry, Doreen Christian, that will go out to bid after, I had to wait until we reprogrammed the funding before I could do that.
Okay, so you're just going to earmark the 9,800 for that?
Yes, we've got a estimate if that's what it's gonna cost, but we'll be able to earmark to do that. I won't have to go out for the painting and that because it's under the $3,000 mark, but we'll go out for a bid for that and the playground equipment.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, if I may, Your Honor.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
It says the parks in a low moderate area. Do we have the name of the parks, or we're just, I'm just curious which ones are gonna get the,
There is a number of parks in the Lomond area that are in need of new playground and equipment. And I was gonna have Dennis and I go through and look at them, and before we go out to bid, we will go ahead and ask permission to go out to bid, and these are the parks that is under consideration. I'll let you guys, know where we're going for it. But there is a number of parks that we haven't upgraded our parks in a long time. I'll just leave it at that.
that's fine, Your Honor. Thank you, Doreen, yes, that's perfect, thank you.
Okay, anything further? Then clerk call the roll.
Councilperson Higgins,
Yes.
Ross. Yes. Dupre,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes,
Salcido,
Yes.
Hoban,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from Lisa Griggs, our Director of Finance and Operations. The mayor and city council had previously scheduled a study session for the purpose of discussing the 2021 and 2022 proposed budget on April 12th. 2021, administration is requesting that the study session be rescheduled for Monday, April 26th at 6:30 p.m. This will allow time to learn more about the anticipated revenue from the American Rescue Act and how that will affect the upcoming budget. So resolved that the mayor and city council rescind resolution number 2021-072 in its entirety. Be it further resolved that the mayor and city council schedule the following study session to review the fiscal year 2021/2022 budget on Monday, April 26, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. in the John A. Aloisi Council Chamber, 1355 Southfield Road, Lincoln Park, Michigan, or via Zoom if necessary.
So move.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilperson Higgins,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Kelsey,
yes,
Ross. Yes. Salcido,
Yes.
Hoban,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. The next item has been pulled by the submitter, will be resubmitted in the meeting of I believe it'll be the 19th, April 19th. So next we have cover letter from our city manager for the next item, Mr. Kazan. And in the letter itself is, over the past few months, the city has been engaged in negotiations with the union representing our police patrol officers. Consistent with the direction received from mayor and council, the city and the Lincoln Park Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council, FOPLC, have come to a 2-year tentative agreement. The agreement has an economic package that is similar to that received by the firefighters last summer. The major components of the agreement are as follows: a revised wage scale with an immediate 2% increase July 1, 2021, and another 2% increase on July 1, 2022. The introduction of lateral pay for officers hired after July 25th, 2020. Small adjustments to longevity pay for officers hired prior to April 21, 2010. The elimination of the senior lead officer rank and the compression of the wage scale where officers max their increase after 4 years. Even with this agreement, our patrol officers' pay range is still lower than most of our comparable communities and neighbors. However, we are now much closer to many of them, and this will make us more competitive in the hiring market and for retention. Current agreement expires June 30, 2021, and this TA has been completed prior to that expiration and has been ratified by the union. The agreement, upon ratification, will be effective until June 30, 2023. With ratification of the agreement, we will have all bargaining units under contract until July 1, 2022. Whereas the collective bargaining agreement between the City of Lincoln Park and the Lincoln Park Fraternal Order of Police Labor Council is set to expire on June 30, 2021. And whereas the city entered into negotiations with FOPLC concerning matters involving wages, hours, and conditions of employment for the purpose of developing a successor agreement. And whereas an amicable settlement of the contract issues has been tentatively agreed to, and whereas the FOPLC has ratified the tentative collective bargaining agreement. Now therefore, be it resolved that Mayor and City Council approve the proposed tentative agreement between the City of Lincoln Park and the FOPLC, and be it further resolved that the Mayor and City Clerk authorized to execute the final contract with FOPLC on behalf of the City of Lincoln Park. Okay, discussion? Okay, hearing none, then clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Alcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Got to take care of that. All right. Next item has a cover letter from Doreen Christian, our Community Planning, Development, Parks and Recreation Director, and it's to authorize funding agreement for Wayne County. And the purpose is to enter an agreement with Wayne County to receive funding for the Kennedy Memorial and Community Center improvements. Budget impact will result in Wayne County providing $50,000 towards surveillance cameras in and around Kennedy Memorial Building and the Community Center and new playground equipment at Memorial Park. So whereas the County of Wayne, Michigan, and the City of Lincoln Park, Michigan have an interest in entering into a cooperative parks and recreation projects that are mutually beneficial to the residents of Wayne County. Whereas the county will cooperatively fund the improvements at Kennedy Memorial Park and the Community Center in the amount of $50,000. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Lincoln Park enter into a funding agreement with the County of Wayne, and the mayor and city clerk are authorized to sign all documents necessary to execute said agreement.
Support.
I think that we have Ivona Varga to thank for, in a good portion for this. Is there further discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
Maybe Doreen can answer this question, but the old tennis court at Memorial Park, is that slated to be removed, or is, I don't think it's very functional. It hasn't been functional in a while.
No, nothing has been put on the docket yet to remove that. There's been a couple of ideas on what we could do with it, like turning it into a tot lot with the buildings and maybe working with the schools to put up some type of little buildings for the kids, but nothing has moved forward at this time. We do have a drainage system in there, and we do have some kind of electrical running through the pole line, but we're not quite sure where that's hooked up to. So that couple of issues need to be ironed out before we decide to tear something like that up.
Thank you, Lorraine, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Further discussion?
Just a comment, Your Honor, if I can.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good idea, especially the surveillance thing, to help make sure that nobody kind of damages stuff we spend a lot of money to fix. It's very good between the county and the Doreen. I think it's a great program. Thank you.
Yeah, Ilona did nice work for us with this. Further discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilperson Higgins,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Ross. Yes. Salcido,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
and Perkins.
Yes. Next item that we have has a cover letter from John Kazoo, our DPS director. On July 4, 2021, the mayor and city council approved the relocation of the current Lafayette water main that runs through side yards and adjacent homes in the city. While investigating the current system and being proactive to the issues faced in past major water main work, Hennessy Engineers is recommending the isolation of the main. This would alleviate the situation where the water stops and insta-valves would need to be installed on an emergency basis. Without them, during an emergency, it could cause shutdown of the water flow and add significant costs to the project. It would also cause delays that would prevent our ability to complete some of the road work that the LP school district is going to fund. The isolation project would consist of a two-phase plan. One, phase 1, insertion of insta-valves. 2, phase 2, insertion of water stops. This would allow us to schedule the sole service provider for this installation. Fiscal impact, the cost would, phase 1, insertion of insta-valves not to exceed $156,000. And phase 2, insertion of water stops not to exceed $134,000. So the resolution itself, be it resolved that mayor and city council hereby approve the installation of the valves and water stops to isolate the water main prior to the start of the Lafayette water main relocation project. Be it further resolved that the mayor and city council waive the bid process for the sole source provider and approve of not to exceed costs of phase 1 insertion of insta-valves of $156,000 and phase 2 insertion of water stops at $134,000 from capital account number 420-001-983-000.
So moved.
All right, discussion?
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
if there's any rain service provider, that's an awful lot of money to be doing without a bid. Are we sure that there's only one service provider? I want to make, that's my question.
Okay, John Kazoo, do we have, are you with us?
I am here. I just got back into town. The answer is yes. They're the only providers in Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan for that type of work.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Mr. Hollingsworth, you concur with that?
Yes, they've been doing all the work probably for the last 10 or 15 years for the city of Lincoln Park. You may recall that they did the work for Great Lakes Water Authority on that 16-inch line that was in Outer Drive there when we had the water main leak there.
Yes.
As well as they came in when we had the I-75. When we were doing the water main work on for the west side of I-75, and we had to call them in more of an emergency situation because we couldn't get the water main shut down. So, yeah, to the best of my knowledge, they're the only ones in the tri-state that would be able to do this kind of work. And again, it's to install these inserter valves and line stops so that we can isolate the main and be able to make all the taps necessary to do the water main work.
And you're both happy with the work that they have done for us in the past?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. John Kazoo, yes, I am. And the other thing that I would like to add, I didn't see it in the resolution. I would like to add, if the maker would, add the name of water tap into the resolution.
The name water tap to what part?
Into the resolution. That is the name of the company.
Oh, okay. The name of the company itself is Water Tap.
Yes, sir.
All right, is that good with mover and supporter?
Yes.
Okay. City Clerk, do you have that?
I do.
Okay. Do we have further discussion? Okay. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Salcido,
Yes.
Hovind,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Next item has a cover letter from Dennis Anderson, who is the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation. Information, the city allocated funding for the installation of a handicap viewing platform in the fiscal year 2021 CDBG program. Authorization to solicit bids for the installation of the handicap viewing program was granted on March 1, 2021, and the bids were opened on March 17, 2021. The bids were received with the lowest best bidder being CNS Construction Management with a bid amount of $35,850. A committee comprised of Dennis Anderson, Deputy Parks and Recreation Director, and Doreen Christian, Director of Parks and Recreation, verified that the bid met the specifications set forth by the city. Only one bid was submitted for this project. Listed below is a breakdown of the bid prices. Okay. So in the resolution, whereas the city has allocated funds in the fiscal year 2021 CDBG program for the installation of a handicap viewing platform at the Lincoln Park Community Center and went out for bid on this item. Now therefore be it resolved that CNS Construction Management be awarded the bid to order and install a handicap viewing platform for a cost not to exceed $35,850 with funds coming from account number 249-046-755-035 Community Center ADA. Be it further resolved that the mayor and city clerk are authorized to execute documents necessary to accomplish this work. All right. Discussion? All right, clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Tobin,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Ross, yes, Salcido,
Yes.
and Mayor Carnes.
Yes. The next item also has a cover letter from Dennis Anderson, who is our Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation. And the subject, the city allocated funds for the installation of 2 handicap door operators in the fiscal year 2021 CDBG program. Authorization to solicit bids for the installation of 2 handicap door operators was granted on March 1, 2021, and the bids were opened on March 17, 2021. Bids were received with the lowest best bidder being CE Door and Hardware LLC with a bid amount of $7,058. A committee comprised of Dennis Anderson, Deputy Parks and Recreation Director, and Doreen Christian, Director of Parks and Recreation, verified that the bid met the specifications set forth in the city. Only 2 bids were submitted for the project. Listed below is the breakdown of bids. You also had ASSA Abloy at $10,820. So the resolution is, whereas the city has allocated funds for the fiscal year 2021 CDBG program for the installation of 2 handicap door operators at the Lincoln Park Community Center and went out for bid on these items. Therefore, be it resolved that CE Door and Hardware LLC be awarded the bid to order and install 2 handicap door operators for a cost not to exceed $7,058 with funds coming from account number 249-046-755-035, Community Center ADA. Be it further resolved that the mayor and city clerk are authorized to execute documents necessary to accomplish this work.
So moved.
Support.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Higgins,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dupre,
Yes, sorry.
Kelsey,
Yes.
Alcido,
Yes.
Coben,
Yes.
and Mayor Cards.
Yes. All right, and next we have a miscellaneous resolution. Whereas the City of Lincoln Park is the primary funding unit of the 25th District Court, and whereas the City of Lincoln Park eliminated retiree health care for all retired and active employees who are eligible for retiree health care in 2015 by Emergency Manager Orders 20 through 30. Whereas every employee of the city and the court who has retired since 2015 has not been provided with any form of retirement health care. Whereas the city did provide a stipend program to affected eligible court and city retirees prior to 2015, which was later amended but has not reinstated benefits to any employees retiring after 2015 due to continual financial constraints. Whereas despite this financial necessity, the 25th District Court is seeking to reinstate retirement and health care benefits for certain current and former employees. It is therefore resolved that the City of Lincoln Park, consistent with previous collective bargaining agreements, and Emergency Manager Order Number 29, hereby determines that the city shall not contribute funding for the establishment of retiree health care or cash payment stipend program related to retiree health care for court employees, as is the case for all City of Lincoln Park employees who retired after 2015. And I'll move on this. Okay, discussion?
Well, I guess, through the chair, I guess what I'm saying is I'm gonna have to vote no because I didn't see the document from the court or their presentation. And like I previously stated, is that we let everybody present their proposals in front of the council. They have their day in court. So that's my comment, and I'm voting no. But that's my position. Thank you.
Okay. Further discussion?
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Through the chair. Would there be time to get us the information before the next court meeting? So, and do we have another council meeting before the next court meeting where this will be discussed?
What is the management meeting? James?
I believe it is the week of the 19th, but I haven't seen an official posting or anything yet.
Okay, then, I'm good with, not adjourning it, but just moving it over to the,
Refer to the next agenda.
just defer this to the next agenda. If that's good with the supporter.
Yes.
Okay, then that is what we will do. And James will get those other documents that we're requiring before that time. So we'll next move to accounts and claims payable. Resolve that accounts and claims payable for those items greater than $25,000 be approved as follows. And this first item, the check has been released for due date. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield, March 2021 Retiree Med Advance Plan, Retirees and Actives, $207,263.78. BB&T Governmental, 2019 Road Bond Principal and Interest, $691,487.50. Beck and Rader Incorporated, City Planning, Building Department Planning, LP Plaza and Farmers Market Planning, $31,700. 25th District Court, January, February 2021 MIDC expenses, April 2021 monthly payment, $74,760.17. GV Cement Contracting 2019 concrete reconstruction final payment, $25,000. GFL Environmental USA April 2021 residential curbside recycling and city dumpsters, $198,750.74. Hennessy's Engineers Incorporated General Consulting, the retention basin letter response, 10-year road program, City Hall HVAC and electrical repairs, 2020 SRF program, River Drive reconstruction, $25,301.54. MERS, February 2021 defined benefit, $219,314. National Faith Home Buyers, first-time home buyers loans, CDBG, $25,050.
I'll move.
Support.
All right, discussions? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilpersons Ross?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Alcido?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. All right, unless I'm mistaken, it is time for City Manager's report. Ms. Grzan?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Real quick, the mayor mentioned up front that the COVID numbers continue to climb. We're seeing a spike like we did in the early winter, so it is scary, but vaccines continue to roll out. And at this point now, everybody over the age of 16 is eligible to be vaccinated. So you can try and schedule your appointment if you have yet to do so. Tonight we approved the TA with the police department, which was very big, and we now have everybody under contract until next July, so July 2022. So that really indicates that we're working well together with the labor unions, and things seem to be kind of smooth waters there right now. I'd like to point out we recently hired our 2 new full-time clerical that were in. One was in the water department and one was in the treasury department. So we are now back to full staff down there. But now we are pushing pretty hard on the part-time clerical positions. We've been trying to do some additional active recruitment, which is leading to some more applications, and we've been testing some of those applicants. So hopefully we'll have those 2 open part-time clerical positions filled fairly soon. I'd like to note, it was mentioned earlier about virtual meetings and maybe going back at some point. As of right now, the county put out an emergency health order allowing for local communities to do virtual meetings through the end of May. So if we stick with that, depending on the numbers, we'd be looking currently the first meeting in June for a face-to-face meeting. And then lastly, we do have a lot of staff on Thursday who are receiving their second COVID vaccine. So with that, we're going to close city buildings to the public on Friday. We'd rather not have people plan to come in and not be able to get served because we have staff who are out because they're feeling ill from the vaccine. And we also don't want staff to not get the vaccine because they have to work. So this way, everybody can try and plan. If you do have business within City Hall or any of the public buildings over the next couple days, try and get it in before Friday or wait over the weekend. We will have staff that are reporting to the buildings, so we'll be able to respond to emergencies. And anybody who is feeling up to coming in is expected to be in. It's not an additional day off or anything, but we just want to make sure that residents have the ability to plan. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions, and welcome back, Councilman Kelsey. It's the first time I get to officially say it, so welcome back.
Thank you, James. Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. James,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so happy to hear that we've got a couple more employees. But for the part-time, have you ever looked into doing co-op, like college co-ops or even high school co-ops?
Well, we have in the past done the high school co-op. I think it's really ironic and funny that our finance director, Lisa Griggs, just turned her video on as you mentioned that, because she is actually the product of the co-op program we used to work with the high school. But we haven't done it in a while. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but it's certainly, I have been kicking around ideas about partnering with the high school, especially for some of the other positions as well. Looking at trying to recruit some of the seniors who don't really know where they're going next, and maybe they want to look at getting into some public works type jobs and just different things. So we are kicking around the idea for sure.
Okay, good, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
You brought up earlier about cameras for a memorial park, and we've talked about cameras for some of the other parks. In the past, Quant Park now has cameras, and it's getting to be that season where we're going to be having people out there. I've already seen some graffiti starting to come in the parks, and this is something I think we need to look into. And I'm putting it on the table again so that we keep it up, keep talking about it till it comes into fruition.
Yeah, it seems like our process has been to do cameras as we go through and do some improvements. It's just kind of part of how we're doing them at this point. But it's duly noted.
Through the chair, Your Honor.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yes, James, do you have an update on the marijuana business?
And which one is that?
I know we did a lottery a few weeks back. Do you have a report?
I believe we've had some plans submitted, but I don't have any anything beyond that. Mr. Myers, you may have something?
We do not have any applications for CBOs on either of the two that have won the bids at this point in time.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Anyone else for the city manager? All right, then we'll move on to department head report. We have finance director, Lisa Griggs.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first thing I want to talk about tonight is the current budget year. As we know, the past year has been very challenging trying to anticipate what's going to affect us as far as our revenues go, whether it be the Parks and Rec programs, community center, the court revenues, been very challenging for us this year as well. So during the year, we amended the budget to $23,517,409 for revenues. That does anticipate us using approximately $500,000 of fund balance this year. This amount, as I said, it's a challenging year. There's a lot of things that we're watching, so that could be higher depending on how our expenditures tie out for the year. The court revenue is the big one that we're really watching. It's coming in really low again this year. We were hoping that it would start upticking as the year went on, but so far that's not been the case. We're expecting from the amended budget, right now it's expected to be even $200,000 lower than that. Hopefully the last few months of the fiscal year it will uptick, but right now it's not. So we're definitely watching that very closely. That's one of the major things that we're watching for the upcoming budget as well. But we do anticipate in talking to the chief and the ticket writing that will start to go back to hopefully next year to more of a normal level. But right now it has been very low. With that said, though, there are a few positives in the current budget that we did not anticipate. Those include the marijuana license fees. So we did collect an additional $137,000 in revenue for that. And then as well as we're anticipating another $50,000 coming from the state and COVID relief funds. If you recall, back in the summer, we were reimbursed for public safety wages. For a couple months, we had actually put in for a much higher amount than we were granted, and it appears that they had some additional funding left. So we should be getting final word on that in the next couple of weeks. But if we get that'll be beneficial and help offset some of those lost revenues from both the court and the community center and Parks and Rec programs. Those have really been our big ticket items this year. And then right now, though, the general fund expenditures seem to be pretty much on track. They may come in a little bit lower, which would help offset some of the lost revenue. But right now, they are trending on track with just finishing up the third quarter of the year. So we're just about through the fiscal year. So these things, throughout the year, we're continually watching them. This has just been one of those years we really don't know what's going to happen from day to day, whether we can keep our programs going, the ones that have shut down, start it back up. So that's really affected a lot of things, and it's just been very challenging. With that said, we are still watching too to see what happens with the money coming from the federal government. And that's one of the reasons why for the upcoming budget, the budget's pretty much done except with the exception of the water and sewer fund. We're watching to see, it was talked about we were getting $20 million. Now there's been talk that amount might not be finalized. We're still hoping to receive somewhere near that amount. So we're waiting on the final number on that, as well as any restrictions and what exactly it can be used for. So that was the reason why we postponed the budget meeting. We were hoping to have some final answers on that soon, and that will affect what we do with the water and sewer rates. As you know, the water rate study projected us raising the rates. If we are able to receive these funds as we anticipate, it appears that most of that is going to be earmarked for water and sewer. So therefore, we can offset some of the rate increase. So excuse me. Really, until we have those numbers, it's hard for us to project where we're at. If we don't receive it by then, we're just going to have to push forward and make some decisions. But we are hoping to have that information in the next couple of weeks. And then continuing on with the budget next year, big challenges are once again the court revenue and what's going to happen with that. And then hopefully the state does not introduce any projected sharing cuts that would affect us substantially as well. They can't really touch the constitutional portion, but the EBIT portion, there is quite a bit of money at stake there. And then, of course, our Parks and Rec programs, we're hoping right now with the COVID cases being so high, it's not looking promising but hopefully by summertime we are able to start some of those programs back up again and continue to operate the community center going back into the fall. And again, that water and sewer, those funds from the federal government are our big hang up right now for the budget. Touching on the water department, and James mentioned we have a new water clerk down there, so she's getting trained. She's doing quite well so far, so that's a good sign. It is coming up on our typical busy season. We sent out recently in the last month transfer tax letters. As you know, the city ordinance requires us to transfer any balance that's 6 months or more past due, which turns out to be September 30th each year. So whatever the balance is on that account, we send out letters to the residents and try to either work out a payment arrangement, or sometimes they'll pay it in full and prevent us from having to wait on that cash flow coming in. Otherwise, it does transfer, which is the summer taxes. But just to talk about that, we are seeing the amounts this year quite a bit higher than previous years, primarily because we were not able to do water shutoffs last year. When we go through the shutoff process, we're not turning off the majority of the accounts. We're sending out quite a few, a substantial amount of letters every year to try and collect those funds and our payment arrangements and try to work out something with the residents as much as we can, but that brings in quite a bit of cash flow and brings down those balances. With us not having the ability to do that last year, we are now seeing quite a bit of an increase in the amount of letters that we sent out and, of course, past due balances. So just to compare this year in 2021, the amount of letters totaled $861,589 in past due balances. Now, the majority of those, we don't have the final numbers right now. They have a few weeks left, I believe, to pay those balances. So once that's finalized, we'll be able to kind of get more of a decisive number on where it ends compared to last year. But so 861,000 this year compared to last year, we had 561,000 that was potentially transferred to taxes. So that's about a 34% increase over last year. And again, with us not being able to do the collection process in the summertime, that is probably the biggest reason for such a large increase. That moratorium on shutoffs did end March 31st. So our plan is to proceed with our normal practice this year. So once we get past the transfer to tax letters, in the beginning of summer, we will begin the process of sending out past due notices. And we have sent out some friendly past due notices to residents throughout this pandemic, just to kind of remind them and try to get them get their account up to date so they're not hit with these so many penalties and this large balance that they have to catch up on later on. So we have done that. We just didn't have the ability to be more forceful with it and go through with any shut-off process. But we will continue the normal process this year with the understanding that there may be more financial impact this year because of unemployment and any factors related to the pandemic. But we always do try to work out payment arrangements with the residents. So we'll just continue that practice. And as you know, that the cash in the water and sewer fund has been an issue. So it's important in order to keep the fund operating in a positive cash situation that we do bring in the revenue. We have to pay for the water to Great Lakes Water Authority, so we do have to receive those funds back at some point. Unfortunately, it just takes us a while sometimes with the collection process. So we will continue on that, and hopefully it's not too much of a burden. It's going to be a lot more cumbersome than previous years with all of the notices being sent out. We're anticipating higher than normal, but hopefully we'll get it to the point where it's not too much of a burden on John's department at DPS and actually having to go out and red tag homes and shut off accounts. So we try to work with the residents as much as we can to avoid that process. And that's about all I have. If anybody has any follow-up questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anything for our finance director?
No, Your Honor. If I may.
Go ahead.
Lisa, I just want to say thank you for always answering my questions and being available.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, I'm not hearing anything else. Just hang loose during citizen communications, just in case somebody has a question for you. At which point, James, go ahead and open up our visitors, if anyone wants to address council.
My name's Jason Bear, Lincoln Park resident, Parks and Rec Commissioner as well. I would first like to certainly echo during Christensen's sentiment about how badly our parks are in need of repair, upkeep, and upgrade, and what a visible sign our parks are to the visitors of Lincoln Park and how important that is. And I also like to give my best to now former Councilwoman Donna Breeding, and I certainly thank her for her 50 years service to the city, and welcome back Councilman Larry Kelsey as well. I found it I was very happy very glad I got to hear the various proclamations that were read and approved on council. They were also very, very deserving, knowing that we now have April for Autism Awareness, Arbor Day, among the others. And I think the food truck resolution is a really good step forward for the city. It's very exciting to me to have more opportunities and options to offer not only our residents, but to get people to come to our city to visit. I'd also like to thank everyone that's played a part in the facilitating, organizing, or planning of the now multiple COVID vaccine events for Lincoln Park residents that have occurred at the Taylor campus of the Wayne County Community College. My mom is now fully vaccinated because of that first event. I got my first shot this past Saturday at Ford Field, and I'm just hoping that those vaccine percentages just continue to climb now that everyone from the ages 16 and up is now eligible today. Because I, like everyone else, certainly want to try to get back to a little bit more normalcy, and really cross my fingers that all of our great summer events that we so look forward to in Lincoln Park can still come off. And that's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else? Okay, I'm not hearing anyone, so we'll move on to oral reports of the mayor and council. We have Council President Salcido.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, Lincoln Park residents. Just firstly, a few items. In regards to the food trucks, once again, I know a lot of work was put into it, 3 pages of ordinances, but hopefully we'll tighten up some stuff, and I do look forward to seeing them. Number 2, the Lincoln Park Senior Bus has resumed the grocery shopping trips on Monday and Thursday mornings, and Tuesday and Wednesday mornings for appointments. For more information, call the Parks and Recreation Office at 386-1817. Thirdly, Larry Kelsey, welcome back to City Council. I look forward to working with you. It was nice working with you in the past, and I hope for better things in the future. Lastly, this was like 1975, sitting on the 3rd floor at Huff Junior High School. I see this 3-wheel buggy coming down Lafayette Boulevard, turning on Mark Avenue, giving out tickets. This lady came out, Donna Breeding, that was you, yes. I always remember that in that little cart. Also, it was an honor to sit next to you, Miss Breeding. You're very knowledgeable, and hopefully some of that rubbed off on me, but if there's ever a need for a name of a street in Lincoln Park, I would highly recommend Breeding Boulevard or Donna Drive. That's all I have, Your Honor. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Higgins.
Thank you. First of all, welcome back, Larry. We missed you. Glad to have you back. You worked well with us before. I'm sure we'll work well together again. Donna, get better. You've served our community so well for so long. There's a story I like to tell about Donna. When I first ran for office, I had some election questions I wanted to ask. I went downtown to the county to ask my questions, and I go to the county, and they say, well, we don't know the answer to that question. And they look around, and there were several people working there. They didn't know the answer. They said, wait a minute, I know somebody who I can call who will know the answer to this. They pick up the phone, and they call Donna. And that's the kind of person Donna is. They're always dedicated and always very knowledgeable. And we will miss you, Donna. I'd like to welcome a new business to town. And I'm sorry if I mess this up, but it's La Finca Restaurant at corner of Capitol and Fort Street. It's been several different restaurants over the years. These guys have gone in, they have spent a lot of money, completely refurbished the building. They have good food, corner of Capitol and Fort Street. Come on down, have some food. And looking at me, I can tell you, I know about food. Go down there and get something to eat. I want to say one more thing. Our city workers today were out cleaning the streets, and I actually witnessed some of our citizens standing on the side of the street, clapping and applauding them as they went by. We very much appreciate those street sweepers, and thanks a lot to the DPS. That's all for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Tobin.
Good evening, everybody. Larry, welcome back. You have been missed. I just want to say how beautiful yesterday was for Easter. The weather was wonderful. There were so many people up and down my street, kids on bikes, people going up to Council Point. It was just beautiful. And with that being said, please watch the traffic and watch what's happening in your neighborhoods. Keep these kids safe. And I noticed a lot of elderly people were out walking yesterday too, so keep an eye on your elderly neighbors. I've heard, Mike, I didn't know the restaurant on the corner has opened. I'm glad to hear that. Also, I'm going tomorrow. The Mexican bakery that was in the old Angel's Baking Cake is now open also. So there's two places we can go, one for sweets and one for good Mexican food. So with that being said, I just would like everybody to stay safe, wear your mask, look out for one another, and always be kind. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilwoman Ross.
Your Honor. Welcome back, Councilman Kelsey. And Donna, I just want her to know that I have nothing but love and respect for her. Thank you for everything. Not just your faithfulness to the city, but for everything that you did to help me get adjusted here. And then if I could just list the employment opportunities that we still have open. We have a full-time firefighter, a full-time mechanic, a full-time police officer, a part-time animal care attendant, a part-time events coordinator, a part-time ice resurfacer operator rink attendant, a part-time laborer, and a part-time recreation attendant. So you can find more information on those on our website. And then I have reminders from the Historical Commission. Don't forget that we still have books available for $20. And this will probably, this is the last time that I'll be able to mention the museum personalized bricks. Don't forget the 100-year centennial logo for this year on those 8x8 bricks are only $125. The order, though, is due by April the 16th. The commission is also having a bottle and can drive for the recyclables. So if you would like to donate your refundable bottles and cans, a commission member will be happy to stop by and pick those up. So for more information on the history book, the personalized bricks, and the bottle and can drive, you can call the museum and leave them a message at 313-386-3137 or email them at lpmuseum@gmail.com. And then on a very personal note, because the COVID numbers are very scary to me, let's not let our guard down. Like everyone has said, wear your mask, be social distant, and when you get the opportunity, I hope that you will get the vaccine. Thank you very much. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilwoman Dupre?
Good evening. I would like to start by saying goodbye to Councilwoman Green. Such a wealth of knowledge, and that certainly is, but welcome back, Councilman Kelsey. It's good to see you, and I look forward to working with you. Yard waste pickup started today. Yay. The farm market needs volunteers. And we have a team meeting this week for a community garden at Blessed Hope. So if anyone is interested, you can contact me, or there'll be a couple other people that we're going to put together a post, but that's going to be fun. And driving home today from City Hall, and I live very close, but I noticed a lot of drinking bottles and things like that in the median, where I thought, oh, the grass is greening up, look at that. And I saw all the bottles and stuff, and I'd like to ask everyone, I know most of the citizens aren't doing it, and a lot of people pass through our city, but it's recognized to please keep your trash in your car with you until you're able to dispose of it properly. It really makes a huge difference in the way our city is perceived. And thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Kelsey?
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the council for all the kind words. I appreciate it. Very nice, and I look forward to working with all of you. I'd like to thank the mayor and the city manager and Carrie Kerr for helping me reacclimate. It's like it hasn't been long, but it's been a comfortable relaxation, so I want to thank them. They made it easier tonight, and I appreciate that. And Donna Breeding, I can't say enough about her. I think nobody can. We all have stories, and I have one where I first got elected also, and I come from union politics. It's a lot different than city politics, and she was kind enough to educate me sometimes the rough way, but always honest with me anyways, and it was a pleasure having her as a mentor and asking her questions, and she was quite knowledgeable and is quite knowledgeable about the city, and she will be sorely missed because she has a lot of history in that, and it benefited the city in a lot of ways. And other than that, I'll say good night and thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. It's nice to have you back on council. With Donna, it's not like she's going someplace. She's going to be there. She's going to be a nice resource for us, and hopefully coming in and watching. I hope that she's watching this, or we'll have an opportunity to watch it later on, because this is a lot of nice things that were said, deserving things that were said. And she is definitely going to be missed as a force on the council, or going to for a question to get the right answer for that. This week, as mentioned at the top of our meeting, it's it's Autism Awareness Month, and the police department will be on their vehicles will have special ribbons denoting that. So when you see one of the police cars, please make sure that just see that. We have been working with Wayne County since the vaccine has been available to have a location within town that our residents can go to, whether it be the band show or the community center. We're still in the process of working this out, but it may be a reality here next month. As vaccinations are now open to 16 and above, and as I said, we want to try to get to that 80% level. And it's going to be necessary because I'm sure that there's people that didn't want to go wait in line, whether it be at Wayne County or the doctor's office or some other place. But have it in the city, I think, will be a good thing. But that is coming shortly. This past Saturday had a very nice time in the Lincoln Park Historical Museum, and the purpose was, at the behest of the society or the commission, they wanted me to do a walking video tour of the museum itself. So we spent a couple hours, Jeff Day, the curator, Don Belinsky, the camera person, putting together a little promotional thing for the museum, including the new mural and some other things, items of interest in that. There's just one that I'd like to share for you that I learned, that on July 1st, 1776, which just right before the Declaration of Independence was signed, to St. Cosma, the Indians deeded this area to them for, I guess it was for love and affection or something along that. No cash consideration, just that deeded it over. If you want to see the full things with the deed, including the various Indian tribes that were responsible for that is at the museum, and I think that go down there when they open up and give it a chance. Or you'll see it on the video when it becomes available. And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Stay safe.
So moved. Support.
All right. Clerk, call the roll.
Gary, you're muted.
Sorry. Councilperson Salcido?
Yes.
Tobin?
Yes.
Dupre?
Yes.
Higgins?
Yes.
Kelsey?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
And Mayor Carnes.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Have a nice night.